Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, long before Sridevi became a big name in Hindi cinema, she was a huge star in the South. Acting from the age of 4, Sridevi had tasted success in Tamil, Malyalam and Kannada films. Her co-stars were superheroes like Kamal Haasan and Rajinikanth. It was much later that she burst onto the scene in Bollywood, becoming its leading star of the 1990s. And that is why Sridevi's death has become such a big story. It is why it has left a void among millions of Indians who have been her devoted fans. Today, though, the focus shifted to how she died in Dubai. We were first told that it was a cardiac arrest when it happened over the weekend. Today, authorities in Dubai have said that she fell unconscious, they won't say how, and then drowned in her hotel bathtub. The case is now being further investigated. Her funeral has, of course, been delayed. There are many questions and theories that are swirling in the air tonight, and honestly, if you're interested in what those conspiracy theories are, you're welcome to switch channels and watch any of the other news channels tonight, because we're not going to indulge in those conspiracy theories. Tonight, what we are going to do is look at the facts of this probe. We're going to look at what a cardiac arrest means, what it means for all of us as well, who are people in their 40s and 50s, whether we are at risk of something like this. And particularly tonight, we will look at Sridevi's legacy, her legacy in films. Was she India's first real female superstar? Later on in the program, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has blamed everyone but his own ministry for the big bank frauds, from Nirav Modi to Rotomac and more. He says regulators have to have a third eye, which must always be open. But what about the government's eyes? Should they be closed? Has the government washed its hands of any responsibility? That's coming up later. Let's take a look first, though, at the big developments on Sridevi's death tonight. And this is what has happened today. We know now from authorities in Dubai that the 54-year-old actress died of accidental drowning in her hotel bathtub. That is what the forensic report released by authorities earlier this afternoon said. An official statement by the Dubai government and by the Dubai police also said that she drowned in that bathtub after losing consciousness. They have not, however, said what was the cause of that loss of consciousness. Now, the official report doesn't mention cardiac arrest anywhere. The case has also been handed over to the Dubai prosecutor's office for what the statement says are regular legal procedures that take place in the UAE. This means, of course, that the return of Sridevi's body has been delayed and it is unlikely to be brought back tonight. My colleague Saurabh Gupta joining us now from Mumbai with more on that developing story. Saurabh, what more are you hearing there? Firstly, about the return of the body. We spoke to the Indian consulate in Dubai a little while earlier. They were saying the formalities are still on. They're pushing to try and get all the formalities done tonight. But now, these new twists have emerged in this case. What are you hearing there?
Well, Nidhi, we've tried talking to a few people, but all they've said right now is that, look, we are still processing whatever has happened. It's too early for us to comment. It's too early for us to actually try and understand what has happened. We are in a state of shock, in a state of grief, and that's the official line that's coming out from here. But all of Sridevi's co-stars, including Kamal Haasan, was here just a short while ago. Kamal Haasan is still inside. He was in tears when he drove in, and that perhaps tells you about the entire canvas that Sridevi had over so many years of her career. At the moment, when we try speaking to people who are close to her, they say, look, we'll let the body get here, let us grieve, let us get over what's happened, and then whatever these questions are, we will try and look at them and answer. But at the moment, they're saying that we're just focused on getting the body back to India, and then after that, organizing a funeral, give her a funeral that a star of her stature, a woman of her stature deserves. That's what people here are saying. In fact, I tried getting a word from one or two people, but all they would say was, let us grieve at this point, and then we will perhaps comment on these questions.
All right, Saurabh, thanks a lot for keeping vigil out there. Thanks for joining us. And just to tell our viewers, these are pictures actually from that wedding in Dubai that Sridevi attended. These are, in fact, some of the last pictures of her alive that were taken, I think, about a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago. And you could see her in a very heartbreaking video, one of those where she was actually dancing with her husband and giving him a hug and generally just, you know, looking happy, healthy. No one would have thought that something like this could happen to her. Well, joining us first on the program tonight, we have with us Union Minister Babul Supriyo, who of course has been a prolific singer his entire life. He joins us here tonight. Anna Vetikar, journalist and author, film critic, joining us this evening. We have two of India's finest cardiologists here in the studio with us, Dr. Naresh Trehan and Dr. Upendra Kaul, to talk about this issue of a cardiac arrest and also, you know, what drowning in a bathtub actually means. And again, I want to stress here, we're not going to speculate on the cause of death. We're not going to weave any conspiracy theories. So I'm warning you again, if you want to hear conspiracy theories and salacious gossip, you can change the channel. We ain't doing that. Let me ask Dr. Upendra Kaul that first question then on what drowning in a bathtub means, because it's happened to celebrities before, but people just find it hard to understand. It's a bathtub, it's not the sea. How do you drown in a bathtub?
Well, you can drown in a bathtub only if you become unconscious and fall down. You know, what caused that unconsciousness has to be, you know,
ascertained.
Whether it was a epileptic fit, there is no past history like that. Whether it was a heart attack or whether it was a stroke, you know. Once you fall down in a bathtub and you're not conscious, then you're going to, you know, swallow the water, and water is going to enter your lungs and trachea, and then all the findings of drowning are going to come. So the question is, why did she become drowsy, dizzy and fell down? And that can be speculated, but I don't think we should be speculating on that. So
would the autopsy report not be able to pick that up?
Autopsy report certainly will be telling us about whether there was a heart attack or not, because drowning is very clear, but when you do the autopsy, you see the heart, the myocardium, the coronary arteries. You can find if there's an acute blockade of the artery, there's a clot which is occluding the artery completely. You can always say that it could have been a heart attack. And one of the first things which can happen in a major heart attack is the heart becomes, the heart rate can become very rapid, what is called as ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, and you die within a minute, within 2 minutes. Other thing could be asystole, that heart just stops. So that part can be, I think, the autopsy is going to tell us what is the status of heart.
Well, Dr. Trehan, how long does an autopsy normally take? So we've had a preliminary report today, obviously, from the authorities which have talked about this drowning. But when will we actually know? I mean, what is the process?
See, there are several aspects to an autopsy. First of all, there is the gross examination of all the organs, and whether you can find any evidence in that, anything abnormal, then you say if that's one part which is you have to comment on that. The second is there is what we call toxicology. Toxicology takes time. You have to take samples and send them to the forensic labs to actually study if there were any chemicals or any other abnormal material that was found in the gut or in the kidneys and things like that. So it takes time for the final report to come, but most of the time 2-3 days is enough to really get a very good idea of the toxicology. And like Dr. Kaul had said, that if in drowning you actually aspirate water into your lungs, and that's how the end comes, because the oxygen gets exhausted in your body, and that will be clear that how much water there is in the lungs, to what degree, and that will tell the whole things. But right now I don't think that we should delve into speculative things of what happened or what could have happened. Needless to say, one, if you are outside the tub and something like already mentioned which knocks you unconscious and you keel over and drop into the tub, can do it, that's one part of it. Or are you in the tub? Now the basic thing is, if you are in the tub and this anything, a stroke happens or a cardiac arrest happens, you will drown. So I think that these are mechanisms can happen, but what happened in this particular case, it's a matter of detail which will come out in the forensic report.
I have another question which a lot of people have, which is that can you just drop dead just like that with no heart history, being perfectly healthy, fit, eating the right foods, exercising, and yet can you just drop dead?
You know, heart disease is still in lots of situations called the silent killer. Even today, if you look at it, thousands of people in our country will go to sleep having played with their grandchildren, had a nice meal, and not wake up in the next morning. So yes, cardiac arrests do occur. It occurs from several reasons. One of them is, the most common is that you have blockages inside the arteries of the heart, and suddenly they block and the oxygen doesn't get to the heart muscle, and it either goes into a stunned state or it starts fibrillating, which we say instead of pumping like that, it starts quivering, and then it's not producing any blood to your brain or the rest of your body. So you can have a sort of end point of somebody can die from it. So the second most important thing is irregular heartbeats. Some people have a tendency that their electrical systems are irritable, and that can happen, trigger off any time. Then there are other things that may cause it. You know, it doesn't really happen that frequently that without cause you'll have a heart attack.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask the two of you many more questions. Also, I'm sure as film fans, to talk about your favorite Sridevi films also. But let me just go for a moment to Babul Supriyo. And Babul Supriyo, you know, we're going to be talking to Rishi Kapoor as well in just a little while from now. But honestly, it's just so hard to believe, even 2 days later, that this has happened. I'm at the age of 54. What are your memories of Sridevi? Was she someone you really idolized?
Well, you see, my career actually started in 1993. The first break that I got was in the Amitabh Bachchan World Tour that happened in 1993, which was organized by Bonnie Kapoor. He was one of the organizers, and it was Amitabh Bachchan, Sridevi, Anil Kapoor. So here I was from Calcutta, from Standard Chartered Bank, landed in Bombay. In 3 months I was in the tour. So I got to see these huge stars very up close and personal. And you know, she was a very shy, introvert kind of a person. She normally spoke in monosyllables. But the fact is that there was an aura around her, but there was no sense of overpowering or, you know, something that would make people around her uncomfortable that she's such a huge star. One, but you know, with two great doctors on the show, I have two small questions, if you allow me. First of all, thank you for not resorting to any kind of conspiracy theories, because psychologists say people with low self-esteem actually indulge in conspiracy theories. That's the general belief. Now, I want one simple question. There is one Khaleej Times or probably Gulf, one of the two newspapers have unconfirmed, they cannot confirm the news, but they say that they have found alcohol in the blood. Now, one is, if anyone is flashing that, any TV channel is flashing that, they should probably say that it is an unconfirmed report flashed by the newspaper. Two, I want to know if what is the way to find out whether she actually got the heart attack and then fell unconscious and fell inside the tub, one, or two, she was you know, inside the bathtub when the heart attack happened. Is there a way to find which the flow of events as it happened during that period of time? Okay. That's one thing. And with this alcohol content news coming out, it also makes you, it's a very much of that Whitney Houston kind of a situation. Now the toxicology report, we remember Michael Jackson's toxicology took about 3 weeks rather. And the third thing is that we are all talking about a very glamorous actress who has actually stolen the heart of millions. But then let's not forget the 15 years when she actually moved away from that glamorous limelight and played the role of a real mother, brought up two beautiful kids, and then got back to cinema and restrained herself from getting back to that glamorous, glamorous arena once again with a glamorous film. Though she was very much fit, very pretty looking, she maintained herself so well. She chose a thoughtful cinema like English for English, and I think that
I'll just make the point on
the mental frame of that artist.
No, firstly, on the reports about alcohol being found in her blood, those have all, at least on our channel, been attributed to the people who made them. Secondly, you know, if someone has a glass of wine or two, or even a bottle of wine, it doesn't make them an alcoholic who OD'd. The kind of speculation on social media and some other TV channels is appalling tonight. But I think what Dr. Kaul and Dr. Jehan were talking about earlier was that you need the autopsy to establish the sequence of events, which is why we can't sit here and speculate about whether she was inside the tub or outside, right?
It's going to be very difficult to have a real sequence. What happened first? Whether she fell into the tub, or a heart attack or something
Happened while she was inside.
while she was lying there. It's very difficult because it's a difference of a few minutes, because if a arrest occurs within 2 minutes, everything is gone. So it's going to be difficult, but the point is, number one, as you said, alcohol theory is absolutely, just
Absurd.
finding a trace of alcohol in the blood in a person who has died doesn't mean anything. Alcohol, I think, just is an innocent bystander there.
Yeah, and why extrapolate so much from it?
That's
Anna Vetikad, let me first ask you, before we talk about, Sridevi's legacy, about the way this story is being reported today. It is really bothering me. It is really, really bothering me the way this story is being reported on television today. Anna.
Yes, Nidhi, firstly I have to say I appreciate the line you're taking. I do not watch any Indian English news channel apart from yours and one other, for the simple reason that when there are situations like this, the manner of the coverage is absolutely sickening. So I cannot specifically say what's going on other channels because I'm not watching them. But if you're on the social media, you get to see the hashtags and the tweets, and I think it's absolutely appalling that they are speculating about the death of a human being without there being any evidence to support the claims that they are making. I think it is cruel for them to be speculating because a family has lost a wife. Two children have a man has lost a wife, two children have lost their mother, someone has lost their friend, and it is unethical to be doing what is being done on some other channels. If journalism students are watching this, I hope they get the message. This is not journalism. This is sensationalism. We are meant to report facts and facts alone. Let the discussions happen when there is a reason to have a discussion. But until there is a reason, any kind of conversation about the reports and about the speculation about the reports will lead inevitably to speculatory comments. So thank you for taking this line, and yes, I'm extremely disturbed at the manner in which this coverage has happened and other cases over the past 10 years. There has been such a decline in the standards of the Indian media, and we all really, really need to hang our heads in shame at the way our fellow media persons are behaving these days.
Absolutely.